Hey all, okay, yes, two videos again today because the weekend was real. Saturday night, I'm out at a charity event, and this is where things get so ironic. I'm at a charity event as part of a group I'm involved with because the money goes to initiatives in some of the poorest parts of America, notably about the opioid epidemic. And fortunately, I wasn't checking my phone while that was going on because while I was there, this guy I'd never heard of called Hassan, people pronounce his name Piker in the videos I've seen. I apologize if that's wrong. So I'll just call him Hasan because, and I don't know if it's Hassan or Hasan. I know people pronounce it two different ways. I will say Hasan. That's the one I'm most familiar with. If it's wrong, again, I apologize. I'm just guessing because I haven't watched The Young Turks in a long time. I'd never heard of this guy, but I get a message from saying he's going off on you. It was sent 5 hours before I saw it. And I'm like, look, I don't pay this any attention. But then I found out what he actually said. And it was, no surprise, in response to the Jax video on Mortal Kombat that has made people completely lose their minds. I'll save what he said. I want to do the setup because I think knowing who this guy is matters. He is confirmed a cast member of the Young Turks. And therefore, one can safely assume is a journalist. Okay, the Young Turks claim they're journalists, they're political commentators, but they claim to be journalists. And so I responded when I heard what was going on. I said, well, here we go. Let's tell, not show. Okay. I said, apparently someone connected to the Young Turks attacked me in a live stream last night over Mortal Kombat 11. I was never contacted for comment nor given a chance to defend myself. While this was going on, I was at a charity event. This is shoddy, unethical journalism. And you'll see he responded here. I'm not a journalist, I'm a gamer. At first I thought, all right, fair. Maybe TYT is expanding in ways I wasn't aware of. But then I found this. A bio from Politicon. You see that is very clearly him. And then his bio says, born in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and raised in Istanbul, Turkey, Hassan Piker is an American journalist. What? An American journalist. See, it's right there. Is an American journalist. Producer, activist, and political commentator. Best known as the creator behind The Breakdown. The Breakdown showcases Hassan's experience in breaking down Republican propaganda, corruption, and hypocrisies of U.S. politics. Let's recap. Is an American journalist. I'm not a journalist. He sure breaks down hypocrisy all right by being an example of it himself. And this is why I don't want to get in too much to what he said. I will give you the things he said in the first minute or so before I was like, I don't need to watch this anymore. He asked, is this a femcel? So he referred to me as a femcel. Said, this is what white feminism is about. And made a comment about, and they say only men can be school shooters. All this because I didn't like a video game. Now, I shouldn't have to go on past that, but apparently he also implied later on, a few people have told me, that I made up the fact that I had black friends and have black friends. And it's just not true, but this is one of these things. It's a trap, right? It's a trap that you try to defend yourself, and the more you defend yourself, the worse it gets. I know I have black friends. My black friends know I have black friends. Just having black friends gives me the right to an opinion that represents black people. No. And I said so. Of course, he did that dishonest thing that it's interesting. I'd only seen people more associated with the right do this before, so now I got a so-called lefty coming at me the same way. He stops and starts the video, and he sped it up in a way to make it seem more ridiculous and comical. Maybe his Twitch thing did that. It was an accident, but it's definitely sped up. And he stops and starts it in a way that frames it. And he can control when he stops and starts it, so people watching it aren't seeing it in its unadulterated context. He's controlling the parts that are highlighted. And that is not, as he claimed later, watching the video in its entirety. It's not. It's manipulation. It's a propaganda tactic. And this is why I'm like, what? This is why I decided to make this video. Because the people that are watching, he also completely neglected the second video I made on the subject, which was live before he did the live stream. Where I got into some of the criticisms people had leveled against me because of that video. The funny thing is, I get the sense that he did this because he thinks I'm right-wing. He referred to me as a white capitalist feminist. And we all know what the Young Turks feel about capitalism. That's their bag. I'm not going to get on this. But there's something odd about a guy defining feminism for a woman. He has no idea what form of feminism I practice. He has no clue about me. He didn't know who I was by his own admission in the video. He jumped to wild conclusions based on my race, which has been going on a lot, and knows nothing about me or the kind of stuff that I do, what my work is, and you know, this is so typical of the left. You know, they form a circular. I shouldn't say they. I used to consider myself part of the left. I mean, I'm Canadian. We only get so capitalist. That's what's so ironic. All the assumptions he made about me are wrong. If he'd done a basic Google search, he would have seen I'm about the furthest thing from an incel in terms of involuntary celibate as you can get. I did risque modeling. I don't think I need to go much more into the points he made, because he didn't really make any points. He was just taking pot shots. And that's not intersectional feminism, as he claims his activism is rooted in the same bio. Oh, wait, show, don't tell. I'll show you. He actually claims intersectional, he actually says his activism is rooted in social and economic justice, LGBTQ plus rights, Muslim rights, and intersectional feminism. And he took a crack at my gender and my sexuality. What do you mean? No, femcel, changing the term from incel, that is a reference to my gender. Incel at all, the involuntary celibate thing, that is a crack at my sexuality. And if he truly is for LGBTQ plus rights, he should not be attacking anyone's sexuality, because as long as that is fair game, it can be used against the most marginalized people in our system. And intersectional feminism, he appears to not understand what intersectional feminism is actually about, because it certainly isn't attacking a woman's sexuality. That's what sex negative feminism does. I'm not a sex negative feminist. And the weird thing is, if he actually looked at my other Mortal Kombat videos, I was arguing for sexy time, which is probably why he doesn't like me. I'm not going to make the same kind of assumptions about him that he made about me. This isn't what he claims it to be. This isn't breaking down Republican propaganda, corruption, and hypocrisies of US politics. This is bullying. This is bullying. He used his platform to attack someone he didn't know. And I'm sorry, implying someone is a school shooter is over the line. Even he sort of realized it was over the line. I'm going to move beyond that. But he didn't stop and realize maybe this whole thing is a really bad idea. Because when you go over that line, you show you're not thinking about this reasonably. You're not thinking about this rationally. You're just beating up on someone. Because it is true that, most school shooters are men, not all, but most school shooters are men. And so I'm probably not a risk. You think? And it's just, this is not progressivism. This is not even collectivism. This is bullying. This is just attacking people because you can. And that's not the collective. That's not people power. That's not an economic argument. And that's not showing why socialism is better than capitalism, why intersectionalism is better than whatever. It's just being mean. He didn't really have a point. He was just taking pot shots. And, okay. Full disclosure when I'm talking about name calling, because usually if you're name calling, you're losing. But I did say he was a nepotism hire. Apparently that's factual, but I still shouldn't have said it. So I apologize for that. I was overwhelmed and used to be a fan of the Young Turks before it got too angry and mean for my liking. I really supported their getting money out of politics and all that stuff, but I certainly am not a fan anymore. And if this is what they stand for, if the Young Turks, Jankin and company are totally okay with this guy attacking other leftists just for having an intersectional opinion on a video game, something's really wrong with that channel. And here's why it was an intersectional opinion on that video game. Intersectionalism means you do not judge people solely based on their identifiable characteristics, because people who look the same on paper have very different experiences with their identities based on combinations of factors too complicated to measure accurately. So, two black trans lesbians will not have the same experience. One could be rich, one could be poor, one could be femme, one could be more, less femme. I won't say more masculine because they're trans women. But the whole point is that people are individuals. That was my whole point, that every person of color is going to feel different about slavery. And one person does not get to make a choice on behalf of everyone of that race to go back and undo it because they can't consent. They can't consent to that choice. And because the Mortal Kombat, that game does have a butterfly effect. I mean, Jackie Briggs changed one thing involving her father, Jax, and she disappeared. That right there is evidence that Jax's choice created the potential for millions of people to just disappear. He's Thanos. And I'm really not surprised that a guy who would make comments the way he did about me, the way he crossed the line, thinks that it's okay for one person to make the choice for the many that way. But it's wrong. And no matter how big a bully someone is, that doesn't make it right. Might is not right. That's supposed to be the whole point about getting money out of politics and changing our entire system so people can't shout people down because they have more money than the next person. But this is not the behavior of people representing a viable alternative to that system. So I'll leave it there. And, I don't draw a salary from the Young Turks. So if you find this, interesting, if you find this at all useful, any fans of his that are here because of this, welcome. I will not hold it against you, but this is a crowdfunded service. Help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK.